Yeah. I bet it would be even better if we could scooch the whole thing over if you want. You'd
No,
be in shade right there.
it's all good. This is a good balance, I think.
Yeah. It feels nice out here. Just the
Hmm.
direct sunlight is.
It's humid today too.
Is it?
We might get kind of a little bit of rain, maybe.
Oh, really?
Maybe. There's this tiny chance
I
tomorrow.
guess it is a little hazy and cloudy today.
Yeah, feels humid to me. I don't know. The chance of rain, might, 25% tomorrow. So let's see.
Half a coin flip. Actual first. Actual, like, ninth. All first before me were invalid. Oh, okay. Well, you do have a wrench, so I guess you're allowed to do that. You can invalidate firsts. That's part of your Spectre powers.
Should have just deleted all the comments
Do
before
do
you
do do.
first.
Get out of here. 300-second timeout for all you idiots that tried to be
I
first.
mean, you can delete without timing out.
Oh, can you?
Yeah.
No. How's the crisp $100 bill? I ain't been paid yet. I'm not exactly a bookie, so I'm not gonna go brace him, over $100 the next day. But we're doing a grease trap tomorrow, and you can bet your ass I'm gonna be, because he can get on PayPal at any time and send me
Yeah.
$100. So it's not even about like mailing me money or anything. You can transfer me money in a couple of different ways. I claim first as I have money. All right, Tucker's first. Glad you won your bet. Me too. Dude, I was talking so much shit yesterday. I was over, doing a little family get together for the Super Bowl, and my stepdad's an actual Rams fan, and I was just talking crazy shit. I was like, Rams have got this. I was like, they may as well just end it after the coin flip.
Mm-hmm.
They may as well just make the coin flip the deciding factor and give it to the Rams. And then, I was talking like, oh, it's going to be a blowout. It's going to be 14-0 at half, and, maybe like 28-3 by the end of the game or something. The halftime show was pretty good, but it was oddly shot.
Yeah.
It was almost like a reaction to the last half Super Bowl show with The Weeknd, where it felt small because it was so close on him the whole time as he walked through the hall of mirrors and shit. It felt more like a music video than a big stadium performance, and this one was the exact opposite. This felt like a big stadium performance where it's almost like they didn't even really have optimal camera placement. It didn't hurt the performance, I don't think. I think it was pretty good, but like there was a lot of wide shots, which was kind of neat.
Mary J. Blige's dancing was a little weird.
Mary J. Blige is a little weird,
Yeah.
but whatever.
She was like tapping her head or something.
Yeah, I don't know what she was up to.
Not very sexy. I don't know why conservatives are freaking out. Like there wasn't even one whole ass
I
out.
mean, if you show a little bit of thigh, or like a lot of these people are basically just Amish people without
Yeah.
the headgear and beards. They really are, dude.
Yeah.
It's like you show a little bit of ankle or a little bit of foot or a little bit of, calf or something, and some people are like, sex. But anyway, whatever. Yeah, the halftime show was but I was not happy about where the score was going into halftime. And then, if you guys remember, right after halftime, the Bengals just like came back and exploded.
Yeah.
They basically you know ran up the score immediately, and I was just like, no, 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 no. I was praying for a blowout, man, because I was just like, man, I just don't want to. I don't want. Part of me does though.
Mm-hmm.
My stepdad was saying the same thing. He's like, dude, I'm a Rams fan, and even I don't want to blow out. And I was like, you want to blow out. I was like, let's be honest. You kind of do want to blow out, but you also want a good game.
It was a nail biter at the end for sure.
Yeah, a lot of these games are, but I mean, that one was particularly like watching that clock, doing all the math in your head about the timeouts and downs, and but I'll tell you, and this is true usually of Super Bowl victories, but and I know you guys aren't. Like, I'm not a big sports ball guy either, but defense wins Super Bowls.
Mm-hmm.
The offensive plays that were made by the Rams, there were a couple of good ones, but I'm telling you, man, those defensive plays they were just on top of it, man. I think they sacked the Cincinnati quarterback 6 times, which 6 sacks in a game, man. They were all over him like white on rice, dude. And that defense showed up. There was a couple of just like clutch ball tips, which are hard, you know what I mean? Because you're really just like slamming your arm out and hoping you get a little piece of it. And there was a lot of that on the Rams, man. Those like whatever they are, the fucking midfield guys, pass rushers and shit. Those dudes had their hands all over the ball, had their hands all over that quarterback. Did not really give him a ton of time in the pocket. They were really good at adapting too, because he started doing this sneaky shit where it was like he was getting back in the pocket a little bit and then breaking a run. And you remember they got all salty because he didn't slide. Like he went on a run and he tucked like this and went towards the sideline and he got hit. Like he got mushed. And that, you know, the Bengals got all salty about that because you're not, you know, but it's just like, dude.
And the Bengals started riding.
Roughing the passer applies to when he's in the pocket.
Yeah.
So when he's dropped back in the pocket, you're not supposed to just like kill him. You know what I mean? You're not supposed to like go over the top with him. But if he takes that ball and runs it, he's a running back at that point. You don't light hit a running back. You know what I mean? That's why you see quarterbacks when they run like that, they'll take a slide. But he didn't do that. He stayed on his feet because he wanted to get that ball out of bounds, and he got smeared a couple of times.
That last fucking touchdown was such a crisis. It was flagged.
Oh my god, dude! The last minute of that Super Bowl was, you know, cloudy with a chance of yellow flags. Flag on every play, half the distance of the goal line, double penalties, cancel each other out. Man, they were leaving it all on the field at that point because they knew, like, a foul was a foul, but if we can mess up the rhythm here one way or the other and get this ball back, we could actually win this all the way to the end, you know. And so definitely a good game, one of the better Super Bowls I've seen in a while. Definitely one of the better halftime shows they've had in a while. And I won $100 from TJ. So, you know, well, can't be a bad day. I think TJ will dispute it. Does a bear shit in the woods? Does the Pope wear a pointy hat? Of course he will. He wouldn't be TJ if he didn't dispute it. Here's what I'm thinking it'll be. Is those of you that were watching, I think we made the bet. When did we make the bet? Was it on Onion Nuggets?
It was on Onion Nuggets.
Yeah. If you can go back and watch the last Onion Nuggets and try and find when we made the bet. And he asked me, like, well, do you want to do like a point spread? And I told him, no, let's keep it simple. Straight up win. I think that's what he's going to come back with. Is like, oh, if we had done a point spread, then we would have evened out or blah, blah, blah. Did TJ pay me? No. As far as I know, I haven't really looked at my bank account today, so maybe he did. I haven't looked at my PayPal, but I doubt it.
I think he would say something.
Yeah, he would probably be like it. There was definitely like some salt in the group text last night.
Yeah.
Scotty, you know, I was gonna talk shit the whole time, but the game was too close.
Yeah.
I did not want him having like screen grabs of texts that I sent him gloating, and then, you know what I mean? I didn't want it. I was gonna gloat if it was a blowout, but, you know, it was within a touchdown for most of that game. Sometimes even within like less than a touchdown. So I was like, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut until this win is secured, and even then, I'm gonna save my gloat for some kind of live content. do the grease trap tomorrow and rub salt in the wound. I think that would be a good name for like a Paul show. Mm-hmm. Rubbing salt in the wound with Paul's ego. It's a little long. Maybe just salt in the wound.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of salt in the wound, that fucking Kyle shit, man.
Woof. So, For those of you that don't know, today, to the absolute shock of nobody, Kyle posted a picture on his Twitter of him snuggled up in a very romantic way with a bikini-clad crystal ball. So the meme was true. There's no way that's not true. Did you see the picture? Go look at the picture.
Yeah, she retweeted it and replied with a bunch of hearts and shit.
Yeah, she retweeted it. He retweeted it on Valentine's Day. Now, here's the thing. According to everybody else, Crystal Ball is just married. She's still married. So, like, that's why I named this The Meme Was Real, because everybody was just kind of joking about, you know, Crystal and Kyle wanting to bang Crystal, and it turned out that, like, that was actually... The meme was real. Everyone owes TJ an apology big time. Yeah, seriously, dude. There were some people, because TJ was making, you know, he was making jokes about it, that were just like, man can't even work with a woman without everybody going blah, 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 blah. Well, maybe there's a little more to it than that. Maybe it's not just the whole biased idea that men and women can't work together. Maybe it was like watching how Kyle looked at her. Yeah. You know what I mean? Watching how she looked at him.
Like, she spent way more time with Sager on Breaking Point.
Yeah. Is Crystal hot? She's not my type, but I think she's attractive. She's a little too skin and bones for me. Not to critique her body or whatever, but, you know, I mean, that's just...
Everyone's got their own shit.
My proclivities are lean more towards the thickness. I like a little thickness on it. She's, you know, she's like very fitness oriented. But she's very attractive. She's a very good looking woman. Really more caught by Kyle's dope tribal tattoos. That, you know what, I hadn't seen them before either, but they didn't shock me. I grew up at the same time as Kyle, and pretty much every dude my age, thankfully with the exception of me, has some kind of really disgusting, picked it off the wall kind of tribal armband tattoo. My friend Waylon has like one around his calf, you know, the spiky one that everybody was getting.
Oh, the barbed wire.
It kind of. It's not barbed. It's tribal, but it's got like, I don't know. You'd have to look at it. It was a very popular design back in the day. But yeah, but Kyle's tattoos, in addition to being kind of anachronistic early 2000s, late 90s looking tattoos, they actually look like prison tats, dude. They look like it. Not only did he get some regrettable tattoos, but he got some tattoos that did not hold up well. Like, it doesn't look like they were great to start with, and then they look like prison tats, bro. Nautical Stars. Yeah, dudes would get the Nautical Stars on their chest here and here. In the 90s, that was a big kind of tattoo thing. The tribal armband, the tribal leg band, the tribal tramp stamp, the man stamp. A lot of people have forgotten this, but dudes in the 90s would get tattoos on their backs, but just like up between their shoulder blades instead of down on their hips or whatever. The man tramp stamp. Well, that's the thing, is like, I don't think she's married anymore.
I think someone, when I was looking through the thread, they said, like, she hasn't posted a picture with her husband in, like, 2 years or some shit.
Yeah. So maybe she's been separated from him for a long time or something. Yeah, barbed wire. Barbed wire still is kind of a big thing. Now people are starting to get it around their like foreheads and shit.
Yeah, I'm looking at this. The lines ain't straight neither.
No, they're not. I don't know if you guys will be able to see very well, but like these are just like the line work on them. That's why I said they look kind of prison tattish.
Or like friend got a tattoo needle.
Yeah. Friends learning to tattoo and decided to give you a free one for practice or some shit. Crystal and Kyle are a hot couple. Sure, they're both good looking folks. They're both good looking folks. Frat tat, yeah. Kinda. Or is it like a delta epsilon gamma tat? I couldn't tell from there.
Yeah, I can't either. The one lower on his arm looks better.
Yeah, I mean, like the line work is better and the fill work is better on these. That doesn't look like a total prison tat, but the one above it does. Mm-hmm. Breaking Points is kind of cringe now, though. I never watched it before, so I couldn't tell you one way or the other. Maybe it was always cringe.
Sager's more of like a traditional lib or like leaning on conservative kind of.
Yeah, he's like a blue dog lib.
Yeah.
It's like a social, like a lib with a streak of social conservatism.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the no regrets tattoo, but misspelled really seals the message. Yeah. That's a meme. That's like such a multi-layered fail too, because it's just like as a tattoo artist, you'd think you'd have like, I'm gonna look up every one of these words to make sure that this person has spelled this right. It's like, sir, regrets is not spelled ragrets. Are you sure you want me to put ragrets on you? Because regrets is regrets.
Yeah. Dude, my ex did that one time. Like he misspelled Khaleesi on someone, like Khaleesi from Game of Thrones.
Oh no, man! How did he?
With a C.
He started Khaleesi with a C.
Yep.
Well, at least that was all fixable because he could just add a line behind the
Not
scene.
super.
Oh my god, what a fucking nightmare! Didn't they write it down for him?
Nope.
He just thought
he was a fan.
He just thought, I'm a Game of Thrones fan, so I know how Khaleesi is spelled. It's a C. Oh my god, what a fucking boom job. Man, misspelling some shit on a person's arm, bro, that is not... You can't, bro. You can't. Oof. Khaleesi. Can you imagine? Like, and here you go, here's the mirror. And she's like, why is it with a C? Did he put the H? Or did he just do Callissi?
I can't remember exactly. I just know the C was like the big deal. I think maybe she even like originally just wanted the one letter of it, and then he was not a smart person.
Not a smart man. But I don't know what love is. No. That's bad, man. That's bad news bears right there. Man, if I was a tattoo artist, I would have a laptop sitting next to me with the Google triple checked spelling. Yeah. Somebody came in asking me for kanji, I'd have like a dictionary for that shit so that I could look up what it actually means, so I don't put parrot turd on somebody's back or something.
And like, if it's not in the dictionary, you can't have it, sorry.
Yeah, I'm not putting any kanji on you that doesn't appear in the actual language, because I'm not going to be blamed for putting, you know, something that looks like dildo face on you that's supposed to mean balance and harmony, okay? I would be... I think a lot of tattoo artists probably are more picky than like you dated one.
Yeah.
Like, were there times where somebody would come in and say like, I want this, and they'd just be like, no.
He was not a fan of like finger tats. He wouldn't do finger tats.
Just because they
don't hold up great.
Yeah. I'm talking about like content wise though. Was there anything that you think like he or his colleagues like wouldn't have put on somebody?
I think
probably like Nazi shit, probably, right?
Yeah, or like Satan stuff, maybe.
Really?
Yeah.
See, that's weird to me. Like devil tats and shit are pretty common.
Yeah. I don't know. It was
gang stuff.
It was Indiana, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's still crime and gangs and shit. Were they strict about gang shit? Like
Not that I
gang
could tell, because one of them there at the shop was like had
affiliated?
the rag and shit. So
Yeah. Have you ever had a girl you really didn't like that had a crush on you? Yes. I've had a dude that I really didn't like have a crush on me too.
Paul's a sexy man. Just you're a magnet.
I don't think I'm all that sexy.
You are a magnet, though, at the very least.
I have a well. It just goes to show you that personality is most of what people
Yeah.
find attractive. Like you can get away with being a big flabby mess if you got the gift of gab or whatever, or you've worked on it. I kind of like come to the point where I've started to hate that term, the gift of gab,
Yeah.
because it implies that some people are just born with that ability, and to a person, every one of those people honed it their whole lives. Like I saw a Reddit thread the other day. I don't really post over there anymore, but somebody was asking. I don't know if they were being genuine or not. It's hard to tell, but they were saying like, how did Paul get good at public speaking? I want to get good at public speaking. There's really no answer to that that's satisfying to people.
Mm-hmm.
The way you get good at public speaking is like literally never like talking constantly. And talking to anybody about anything and really thinking about your conversation and your word choice for years and years and years and years. They say that anybody that's like a professional at something has done 10,000 hours of deliberate practice and deliberate training on it. And if there's anything in my life that I've done 10,000 hours of deliberate practice and training on, more than that actually, because all of the acting training and experience that I had was woven into that same thing. But I've at least had 10,000 hours directly of just one-on-one conversation, public speaking, talking to a small group, talking online. I mean, I've got like that's how you do it. And there's no easy road to it. There's no like self-help book. There are little tips and tricks that you can learn to be a better public speaker. And certainly, but like if you're trying to be, I'm not saying I'm the best of the best, but if you're trying to be somebody that does it for a living, you gotta work. You gotta work it. 100%. And that also means like not just working on it yourself, but like, dude, I learned how to make a joke from watching other comedians, and from watching adults that had surrounded me that had been passing down these different jokes for years and years and years. So the performance aspect of a joke, I learned a lot of that from my dad, my Uncle Jimmy, my Uncle Roger, all my cousins. Like I just was surrounded by a lot of funny people, man. Just like, and so I was very fortunate to be able to, mine a lot of that for my own wit. What's up with the imagine the audience naked tip? Dude, you fucking tell me. I don't give people that audience, bro. All right, that advice. I mean, you can do it, I guess. See, here's the problem with it. I don't quite understand it because I never had stage fright in the traditional sense. Like, I get stage anxiety, but everybody gets that. That you use that to fuel your performance. Every actor gets hyped up before they step out on the stage and shit because you understand that you've got a one-take movie, basically, that you have to pull off. Yeah, if you really think about that, it's kind of crazy to think about. But yeah, when you're an actor and you're about to step in front of people, it's like a movie premiere where you get one take, one contiguous take, not broken up by anything other than an intermission. Scene to scene, you gotta be perfect. You gotta know when you're coming in. You gotta know when your costume changes are. It's a whole crazy fucking thing, man. But yeah, what I was taught, and this was not necessarily a stage fright thing, but I was taught the middle distance analogy. The idea is that you break the fourth wall when you make eye contact with people in the audience. And there are certain plays that want to do that, right? There are certain plays that involve the audience in certain songs or whatever, and it's very powerful when you do it from the stage. But you don't ever really want to be looking at anybody in the audience. So an audience is seated, and typically a stage is raised. If you've got raked seating, it's a little different, but raked seating, like this more Coliseum / stadium style proscenium, not proscenium, what did they call it? Anyway, you know what I'm talking about, raked, like theater seating. That you can see, it's like a lot easier to accidentally look at somebody, but the lighting in those places is so much more focused, that the audience is basically just a blur. You really got to squint to make out that there are people out there. And so it becomes very easy to um, find a focal point in the middle distance and then just, and so that's where you're looking. If you ever have to look out towards the audience, and it became like second nature to me. And maybe that's a better piece of advice for stage fright than anything. It's like stage fright really is more about being aware of all those eyes on you and being afraid of messing up and humiliating yourself in front of those people. Well, if you train yourself that those people don't exist until the final curtain falls and you go out to get your round of applause, then it's pretty easy to ignore them. The thing is, you don't ignore them, you feed on their energy. The energy that comes off of the audience is how an actor knows what they're doing is good and real, like a stage actor. I'm not talking about psychic energy. I'm talking about the way that you can feel an audience full of people that holding their breath, or the way that you can hear an audience full of people come to a realization. Have you ever seen a big fail in a stage performance? I mean, I've seen people mess up and stuff. I myself have dropped lines in stage performances. It happens to every actor. Movie actors, if you watch like behind the scenes footage and stuff, you'll hear them call for lines all the time. Line, and then they'll go back to the top of the scene and start it again. You don't get to do that in a play. You know what I mean? I mean, that's the last resort, is breaking the fucking magic and saying line and having the stage manager whisper your line to you. That's bad. That's bad news bears. So you gotta recover yourself. But no, I've never really seen like somebody face plant horribly on stage in an unrecoverable way. But I did see, and I think I've talked about it before, I saw a Broadway, a traveling Broadway production of Oliver Twist. And I actually left before the show even got underway because of how disrespectful the actors were. There was some kind of technical problem that was keeping them from starting right on time, and rather than waiting in the green room or waiting out back of the theater and prepping themselves, there were actors in full costume with the house lights up milling around the stage, and it wasn't part of the show. They were like on cell phones and shit, but dressed like 1820 cockneys. You know what I mean? And it was just like the utter disrespect for the art and the craft of that and the magical spell that's cast by a really good show. You don't fucking have an actor milling around on your stage and goofing around on their phone in full costume. It just shows that production and the actors that were on it had no respect for that audience. And I'm telling you, I paid a lot of money for those tickets. Not a ton, but I had like this was back when I lived in Fresno. There's a theater there called the Soroyan Theater, named after William Soroyan, who wrote a number of books that you've probably read. What's that called? The Pearl, the Black. He wrote a very popular book, or two or three, and I'm brain farting on them now. But he was an Armenian immigrant. Cannery Row. He wrote Cannery Row. He wrote something about a pearl. But anyway, there's a big, beautiful theater here in Fresno in his honor. And my ex-wife and I had the season tickets to it, and that was expensive. Dude, you came out of the pocket to get to go see each one of those shows for a season. And I remember going to that one, and both of us were just like, fuck this. We paid way too much money to sit here and be bored by these people that don't even care about the craft of what they're doing. I've never seen such disrespect, open disrespect. Hey, thanks, Town Crier. We already talked about it. Hey, extra. I know I just got here, but Kyle and Crystal are banging. It's like, we literally talked about it already, bro. But thanks, though. We already read all about it. You can go sell newspapers somewhere else. Hate people like that shit. Fuck, dude. just blunder in here and think that I'm the only person that knows the thing that everybody knows. You know what I mean?
It was hours ago, man.
Yeah, dude. If the internet was more of a thing, you would have been that guy that, like, 8 hours after 9/11 would have been like, God, oh my God, Paul, did you hear? Did you hear a plane hit the World Trade Center and they fell out? Be like, yeah, dude. Put down your bell.
Got some ash on your head.
Head.
Forehead.
Oh, it's Ash Monday. I had to do the math. But if he just arrived, though, oh, I know. I mean, he must assume that people that have been, talking for, in this case, half an hour, in some cases, hours, people will come in at like 90 minutes and talk about whatever the big news that everybody already heard is. Like they're a dude that's got like a connect to something that nobody's talked about. Bro, just stop.
If it happened more than an hour ago on the internet, it's already old news.
Yeah, probably. And if I've been streaming for 30 minutes, somebody's already brought it up.
Yeah.
You worry about Ukraine and Russia? Not really. Sorry. I'm not. I mean, we've been really trained to pretend we care about the territorial squabbles of other countries and shit. But ultimately, it's really none of our business.
It's like, unless Russia attacks us, then there's no impetus. You can't manufacture enough consent without some kind of, like, attack.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to do some crazy shit. And that's why I think that, like, honestly, the U.S. baits it. That's why we send a bunch of troops to these lines, because they want them to drop a bomb and kill 100 American soldiers, because then they can sell it. And just like, man, stay out of the business.
It's like they couldn't sell it with just the hacking and the trolls and the bots and shit.
They've been trying to sell it forever, both sides.
Yeah.
Been trying to sell this, like, evil empire thing, because that was such a great meme for so long. The Cold War was so great for galvanizing public support behind, anti-immigrant policies and xenophobia and increased invasion of privacy and all the wonderful hallmarks of being an American nowadays. You know what I mean? All of that. And it was such a great meme to have a country that actually, pseudo competed with us on some level, that we could paint as, a big bad guy. But I don't really think anybody is going to look at Russia and the Ukraine having diplomatic problems, knowing that they were once the same country and that Ukraine is a country that splintered off after the Soviet Union fell. It's just ridiculous to even think that we should involve ourselves in that shit, dude. Unless Russia's like committing like, atrocities or whatever. If they're rounding up all, Ukrainians and gassing them or whatever. But if it's just like a petty power struggle or whatever with jockeying on both sides, and make no bones about it too, Russia uses this shit. This is how Russia fucks with us. They do some shit. A lot of times they don't even have any intention of doing anything, but they posture like they're going to do it because they know it's going to cost us $30 billion in materiel to move people around.
Yeah.
And fly all those people in and pay all those soldiers to be out in the field and to fucking facilitate this and to help this. They know it's going to do more economic damage to us than it is to them to just park some soldiers on their border. And so they do it all the time. It's like they're yanking the chain. And it gets them all kinds of attention, and it gets them all, you know what I mean? It's just, it's naked what's going on with me.
Like, if they don't drop it, then something has to happen. Like some giant cyber attack or some shit at the very least to galvanize people.
Oh, yeah. Even a cyber attack. It would have to be something that hit everybody, or like enough people that it's really scared the pants off of somebody. Because if it's just some sort of data breach or some sort of government leak or something, nobody's going to care. Like, look, there was evidence that they directly and indirectly through pop propaganda and direct manipulation, interfered with our elections. That's not even a controversy. Like that, if that doesn't get people's blood boiling in this country, nothing really is when it comes to the cyber stuff. They're gonna have to, and see, that's something that they're not gonna do. They're gonna have to like blow up part of a city, or knock down a building,
Shut down
or
a bunch of hospitals, or
sink a
some
couple
shit.
of our ships, or something like that. They're gonna have to kill a bunch of Americans or destroy something here. And they know better than to do that. They're not looking to do that. Trust me. Like, we're both armed to the teeth with nukes. Russia knows that. We know that. And so it's like mutually assured destruction really accomplishes nothing. But Russia knows how to yank the chain. And specifically, Vladimir Putin knows how to really yank the American chain. And he does it over and over and over again. He triggers this huge multinational NATO response by just moving, soldiers around in his own country and playing coy, and everybody just and look at it, dude, for like 2 weeks now. And I'm not saying like you guys bring it up tons, but pretty much every time I stream about this, I'm asked, or stream here, for the last 2 weeks, I'm asked like, man, what about the Armageddon with Russia and Ukraine? And I'm just like, man, that's exactly what Russia wants you to be doing.
Yeah, they want World War III to be trending. And
Yeah,
shit.
they want Americans sitting over here fearful and spending a bunch of fucking extra money moving. It's just because they know it weakens us as an empire. They know it spreads us thin. They know it has us spending money that we otherwise ought not be spending to support troop movements and support NATO operations and stuff. And they love triggering that because, dude, what does it cost them? They've already got a standing army. They just base them at the border. It's the same, they're paying the same amount to feed their soldiers that they were before they moved them to the border, and we're importing every goddamn morsel that they eat and supporting a bunch of other countries and relieving them with guns and MREs and
like those fucking boats ain't cheap to sail.
the big AC-130s or whatever, where the troops fly over.
Yeah.
I mean, those trips cost like $300,000 or $400,000 every time they do it, just in fuel. That's not including the people that they pay to fly it, the maintenance on the plane. It's ridiculous. You know what I mean? And so look at how much damage that Vladimir Putin was able to do in the United States, not only economically speaking, having us waste even more money on our bloated and ridiculous military budget, but like how he changed the whole conversation in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, oh, the United States thinking too much about itself. What will I do? Let me move some troops to Ukraine border. And now look what we've been doing. Russia, Ukraine, what's going to happen? Oh, fear. Oh, God, it could pop off at any time. Oh, no, oh, no. And he's sitting back there with that disruption, knowing that he psychologically disrupted us and cost us probably an obscene amount of money, probably, $500 million or something to move people around and provide aid to Ukraine. And, you know what I mean? Come on, bro. And, don't like... I know when my chain is being yanked.
Yeah, it's like we pulled out of Afghanistan and we needed some other thing.
Yeah, well, yeah, and this is great for both sides too. Our politicians love this because it lets them get us in this emotionally compromised fear state where, things just like float by. You remember when Biden killed a bunch of kids last week? Nobody asked me about that. Mm-hmm. Not a single person that I can remember asked me about Biden blowing up a fucking house with a bunch of children in it to kill a terrorist leader nobody'd ever heard of. But people are asking me about Ukraine every day. Mm-hmm. Like, mission accomplished. Good job, comrade. I mean, I agree. I wouldn't say Russia mobilizing 175K troops isn't going to cost nothing for Russia. Yeah, but they're in their own country. They have their own supply lines secured. They don't have to fly anything in unless they choose to. It's the argument isn't that it costs nothing, but they already have a standing army. So it's very cheap for them to move the army from one place to another in comparison to flying them all the way fucking from the other side of the planet, flying all the materiel, the artillery pieces, whatever they, all the support that we've thrown at Ukraine. Dude, we've spent at least quadruple what they've spent, probably. Maybe even more.
Like they've been poking the Ukraine thing for years now.
Yeah,
They've just probably already got bases there.
They've been yanking the chain, the chain. And people just buy it. And it's so cheap for him to do it. Yeah, they use trains. Right. They've got a whole rail system set up. They move all the material to the border. They're paying the soldiers the same thing. They already exist there. They don't have to travel over any continents or worry about any treaties or secure any passage for their armies over non-allied territories or anything.
No
we have to do that. Yeah, they don't have to worry about boats. We're the ones that have to sail big numbers of people to sit in the near the peninsula and shit. We're the ones that have to have fucking our boats all over the place. And we're the ones with not millions, but hundreds and hundreds of surreptitious military bases, a lot of them to counter all the shenanigans of the USSR. Mm-hmm. Dude, they're bleeding us dry and they're loving it. Yanking the chain, controlling the narrative. Having Americans for now weeks straight sitting on the edge of their seat like World War III is going to pop off. Dude, I don't think he's going to do shit. It's not our problem. It's no more our problem than, the Civil War in America was, the problem of India. You know what I mean? Like, we worked it out over here. It's kind of the same thing. It's a territorial dispute. It's old, this nostalgic idea of reunifying the old USSR and rebuilding it as a power base. And, it kind of rankles the Russian elite, the political class, the military class, that these territories were lost during the collapse. And they understand that these territories are strategic buffers against, parts of the world that they may want to compete directly with. And it would make every amount of sense for them to want to reclaim that. If the same thing would happen in the United States. Dude, if we had some kind of skirmish in the United States where somehow Florida and Georgia or whatever the hell ceded from the Union, and now you got this Confederate, dude, we would be taking that back every day. We'd be posturing against on the borders of Florida, and we'd be threatening to annex it every day, and eventually we probably would. Well, the U.S. government wants you to believe that it's the United States' problem when any country does anything anywhere in the world, because we're the cops. What do you think Putin would be like if he smoked weed? I don't know that he doesn't. But he might just be exactly like he is, just still terrifying. See, the idea that weed turns you into this yeah, you can get super baked and do that, but most people that smoke weed are not like that. There's a good chance that a lot of people that you don't think smoke weed do.
He's an oligarch. He can fucking snort cocaine, smoke crack if he wants.
Yeah, he can do whatever he wants. And I mean whatever.
Snort Parmesan cheese.
If he wants to. Wants to try and smoke a Parmesan rock. Weed doesn't make you dumb. No, it doesn't make you dumb, and it doesn't make you a silly 90s stoner character. You will meet people that maybe are reminiscent of that, but in my experience, most pot smokers don't make it a central tenet of their lives to, constantly have their personality defined by how they act on weed. Most, especially daily smokers. Yeah, do I get high? Mm-hmm. Does that mean I act like a fucking doofus? Mm-mm. It helps.
I mean, you give into it when you want to.
Well,
It's like
yeah.
alcohol. It's like you ultimately still have some measure of control, but you can let it like just completely eliminate your inhibitions.
Yeah. If you decide to, yeah. But for me, it's more about relief from various angles of pain. So it's a psychological pain. It helps me not be as high strung and prone to anxiety. And then I I spend a lot of time in physical pain. So I got a lot of back pain, neck pain, joint pain in general. Just a big pain factory. Being a little high helps. Had kind of a sad thing happen to me last night, but I still feel like I got my $39 worth or whatever it was I spent on the Founders Pack, because I ended up playing a lot of that game. But got to the end game finally, or like the beginning of the end game in that Lost Ark that I was playing. And it unlocked the ability to like fast track another character, and I did that, got that character to max level, and then I started playing some of the end game content, and I was like, I can't play this game. It's too hard. It sucks for me to admit it, but I do not have the reflexes that I used to have when it comes to like the Twitch gaming skills and stuff. And like, dude, I'm not even at the content that's supposed to be super duper uber hard yet. My first like raid where you go into a dungeon with like a pickup group, we got to a boss that we literally just couldn't beat, and I kept dying first. And I was the tankiest person on the team. And so I just had this moment on like the 6th or 7th, and the people in the chat were roasting me too. Like the people in the party chat were just like, "Man, you're an idiot. Fucking why you die?" And I'm just like, I die because I can't react quick enough to what he's doing, you know, and I don't know everything he's gonna do, and I keep getting hit by shit I shouldn't get hit by because I can't do it fast enough, and it didn't feel good at all to be in a position where I was trying my best, but I just wasn't good enough to clear the content or whatever. And that was like the first raid boss that you fight of a game that like the whole game is structured around tiered content that just gets harder and harder and harder, and the raid bosses get bigger and the shit gets harder to dodge. And so I just had kind of a sad moment where I was just like, well, as much fun as I had with it, I just don't really want to play the game anymore, because I've gone through the game, I guess. I mean, I technically beat the game, the storyline of the game, and you know, it took me probably like 30 hours or something to do it. That's pretty good for a video game. You know, you get 30 hours of enjoyment out of it. It's not bad. Well, I've just lost a lot of it, man, and especially in certain kind of ways, like with keyboard and mouse stuff specifically. I have really lost my edge when it comes to that. I've lost a lot of like dexterity and stuff, and I'm really not as good at those types of games anymore. Like, I've noticed a real fall off in my ability to play those types of games. And you know, this Lost Art game, I think you can play it with a controller, but I think it would be a nightmare. So it's one of those games where you just got to get real good at keyboard and mouse. You're clicking everywhere. You're hitting a fucking million buttons a minute, and I just can't. I can't keep up with it, you know. And it really was like, it made me feel bad because like I was having a horrible time, and then everybody in my group was mad at me because I kept dying and I was impeding their progress and shit. And dude, that's just not a good feeling. So yeah, move on. You know, kind of sucks, but. Well, if you were old enough to be drafted in World War III, would you go along with it or flee? Neither. I would apply for and fight for and stand on conscientious objector status. And I would probably end up being locked up for it, but I'd be happy to be locked up rather than fight a war that I believe is for profit. So yeah, I would definitely be one of those dudes that would assert conscientious objector status as a pacifist. I don't believe in shooting at other people to solve problems. I'm a pacifist. I don't do that. And it would be morally objectionable for me to materially support that in any way, other than what I'm forced to do with my tax dollars already, which I do take moral exception to that, but what choice do I have there? When would you support foreign intervention? Like foreign intervention, man. When would I support a war? How about ask me that? Because this, like, the softening of war language, man, is one of the biggest tricks that's been pulled. Foreign intervention. When would you support a military conflict? You mean a war? Number one, I don't support any kind of intervention, internationally or otherwise, that doesn't go through the rigors of a war resolution passing both houses of Congress. I am a firm believer in, at the very least, that separation of powers. And the fact that now we've reached a point where a lot of people say the president can do it, but it's really just military commanders have usurped the ability, because it's not like the president that's coming up with an idea to attack some town he's never heard of. So really the transfer of power, a lot of people say it's the executive that's got a lot of power transferred to it, but it's really military. It's really these like 5-star generals and these military contractors and stuff that have unprecedented access to the president because he's the commander in chief of them. They're the ones that got power to declare war without war. So I don't support any kind of intervention that doesn't have a formal war declaration. And at that point, if we're going to declare war on another country, there better be a laundry list of damage, direct damage that they've done to this country. You better not bring me some, oh, they're mean to their people. Look, dude, we're mean to our people. We have the highest per capita prison population of any place on the planet. So don't come at me with they're mean to our people. We're living in a place that's mean to its people. So we're no moral authority. You know what I mean? So it's got to be some direct kind of threat to the world at large and the United States at large for us, You said the other day that Germany bombing Britain is just other people's business. Sucks you wouldn't care about us. I mean, it's not that I don't care. It's that, and number one, I wasn't raised during World War II. So I was talking about the sentiment of people back then. The sentiment of America at that point in time was that European problems were European problems. And that there was no way that it was worth sending our soldiers, our sons and daughters overseas to die as cannon fodder in a European war. Sucks the UK didn't care about the millions they starved and tortured throughout history. Shh. Oh. No. Not Great Britain. Not the Empire of Britannia. You think jail and prison should be strictly for hard criminals, murderers, and rapists? I think jail and prison, as it currently exists, should be utterly and completely torn to the ground and abolished. Even if you make the argument that there are certain people in our society that have to be warehoused somewhere away from other people, there are better ways to do it than the way that we do it now. And yes, I'm talking about being humane to people who have been very inhumane to other people. A lot of people, in their lust for some kind of government-sanctioned revenge, forget that the reason that there are laws against rape, kidnapping, murder, robbery, etc., is because those are acts that show very little compassion, if any at all, for the victims of them. And we've made them illegal as a society because of that lack of compassion and that self-serving motivation. And so the idea that we should be looking for vengeance on people who have been caught for crimes leads to prisons being rape factories, leads to, some huge amount of men that go through the prison system are sexually assaulted. No matter what they did, they didn't pay their taxes, sexually assaulted. You know what I mean? Had one too many and went out for a drive and, got in a car accident that hurt somebody. That's morally reprehensible. But your sentence is a life of continuous rape. There's no compassion in the system. It's become a capitalistic enterprise to warehouse these people. How do you feel about eye for an eye punishment? I think it's barbaric and Bronze Age, and definitely not something that we should aspire to if we want to have anything like a system of justice that doesn't mock the very word. Now, to a certain extent, I think some precepts of law are based on an eye for an eye principle. It's like, you did this much economic damage with this robbery, so you will pay restitution in the form of this much incarceration and this much public service. Eye for an eye makes us all blind. Yeah, everybody likes that little saying, but I don't know. It's eye for an eye is a terrible central idea behind a system of justice and incarceration. I really do think that, like, an absolute softening of sentencing guidelines across the board for nonviolent crimes. Any kind of nonviolent crime, any crime where you didn't directly violate another person, against their will in any kind of way, should be immediately fast-tracked to a non-prison environment. There's no way that a pot dealer should be in prison. There's no way that a money embezzler should be in prison. There are ways that you can punish those people and not have them be in prison, like seizing all of their assets, taking away some of their social privileges, denying them access to certain, benefits in society for a certain number of years, maybe even, forcing an audit on their finances to ensure that they're complying, and those sorts of things can all be done to a person without ever throwing them in a jail cell. And I think that does way more to deter the idea of, recidivistically doing capital crimes and shit. Same thing goes for, just anybody, any nonviolent offense, where no harm was done to any other human being, at least no direct harm, because they would say, like, oh, you deal somebody crack, you did harm. Well, all right, whatever. It was the person that smoked the crack that did the harm. If they didn't source it from me, they were going to source it from somebody else. I'm not the inventor of crack, so I really don't believe any kind of drug dealer should ever be in prison. It just doesn't make any sense to me. We're so good at sanctioning these other countries. Put some economic sanctions on these fools. You lost your right to economic privacy. So for the next 5 years, all of your money will be watched. There will be routine check-ins. We already do this, right? It's called probation. I think that probation is probably, like, able to solve pretty much all nonviolent crime. I don't think anybody should ever be in prison for a nonviolent offense, ever, 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 ever. So that alone would alleviate, I don't know, probably like at least half the prison population in this country overnight. Maybe even more. I don't know. I don't know what the ratio of violent to non-violent offender is in prisons, but I'm pretty sure that it's 50% or over are non-violent offenders. Overnight, half the prison population. You can close down a bunch of fucking surreptitious facilities, put out of business some of these predatory corporations that exist just to fucking lobby the government to make laws more strict so they can lock up more nonviolent offenders and make money. Paul, any chance of an Apple Nasty reunion anytime soon? Probably not. You know, the members of the original crew especially have scattered to the four winds, you know. Norway prison is dope as fuck. Well, I don't know. I mean, I say I know what you mean. You're not saying it's like super dope to have to be there, but it's not like punitive. It's a rehabilitative environment. My ex got put in county jail for several weeks because she told off a cop who used too much force on her neighbor who was hysterical over a domestic incident. Yeah. Welcome to, whoa, hello little dove. Or are you a Pidgey? Oh, you're a dove. Sorry, I got a little visitor back here. Where can I find the Apple Nasty songs you use for intros in your streams? I think I've linked it before. Just look in the description. I think it might actually be in the description. And the songs I use for my intro are not. I guess a couple of them are Apple Nasty songs, but the group that performed them was like not Apple Nasty. It was one of the original members of Apple Nasty in a different group. Apple Nasty was never a real band. You know, Apple Nasty was a bunch of slightly insane, substance-addled teenagers fucking around, you know, and that was cool. And then it kind of had a rebirth too, where it became a more serious band, but I was not in that. I was invited. Dude, that was kind of a sad time for me because the dudes, when I say the dudes, I mean Morgan Cox and Rodney, they got a hold of me one day and they were like, dude, you know, we've been getting together and kind of jamming and we kind of miss jamming with you. And we're thinking about, you know, bringing Apple Nasty back. Or starting a new band. Actually, it wasn't even Apple Nasty at that point. We were calling ourselves Caddy Wampus. Caddy Wampus, dude. How we didn't blow, I don't know. And by blow, I mean blow up, not we did blow. Anyway, so what I heard from them was what I wanted to hear during the pitch, right? So they came to me and they were like, dude, we just miss kind of like hanging out, making music and stuff. We really want to make another crack at it. We miss doing it. You want to come, you in, basically, right? And in my mind, I was like thinking, am I in to get together every once in a while with you guys, get stoned and drunk and write stupid songs? Yes. But what they were asking me was, do you want to try and be like a real band where we have like rehearsals and we learn like one song, we play it over and over and over until it's perfect, and we were had no interest in. And so I showed up a couple of times to these like what I didn't realize were like pre-meetings for like the start of rehearsals. And by the, you know, I just kind of like bowed out, and they were I think they were kind of mad about it at the time, but it really was just a misunderstanding. Like I really thought that they were asking like, hey, you know, in our free time, do you want to get together and just like smoke and write music? Apple Nasty was a nickname. Yeah, yeah. It was Carlo Rossi Blush. Was the wine we used to get, and it was an apple wine, a very cheap jug of wine. And we lived in a little town where that wine was produced and bottled. at one facility, or two co-facilities, like two facilities that were built right next to each other that were, you know, owned by different people, but kind of had a symbiotic relationship. So you had a winery that was backed up right against a glass bottling plant. So the glass plant would make these huge jugs, and then they would go right over, and this winery that was branded out with Carlo Rossi would blub, 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 blub. And so anyway, we always had that stuff. It was always easy for us to get our hands on it. And we nicknamed it Apple Nasty. I can't remember who came up with it. I think it was Rodney. Rodney was always the one that came up with our little quirky phrases and stuff. So I'm pretty sure it was probably Rodney that came up with Apple Nasty. Dude, there's a woodpecker on our fence, and he's woodpecking it. Or is that a jay? Man, he's blue. Can I see? I want to see if you guys can see him or her. How beautiful. How beautiful blue. Is that a blue jay? Or a woodpecker? Look, there's two. Oh man, how beautiful they are. I love that blue. Blue is such a rare color in nature. Pretty birdie. Jays, yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna get a feeder or something for out here. I want to try and get like a little, like a hummingbird feeder or whatever. No, you know, I'm not gonna do that because hummingbirds will often nest in an area where people feed them, and I don't want to move out of here and have them starve or whatever. But maybe like putting up just like a little bird feeder with some seed in it wouldn't be too harmful. I could hang it in that little tree there, and that would give them a good spot to get some grub if they wanted it. But they're feeding themselves just fine on the grass and berries and whatever else they're fucking eating, little bugs. Green is the rarest color in nature. That can't be true. We're surrounded by it. If you're talking about like in animals, maybe I'd buy that, but I know that blue is pretty rare. It's not unheard of, but it's a pretty rare color. Especially that kind of like bright cerulean blue that these blue jays have. They're just fucking beautiful, man. I love birds so much. Such an enormous sense of calm comes over me when I'm looking at birds because they are just not concerned. I mean, they are, but like, God, man. They know their purpose. They know what they're doing. You know, there's no crisis about it, there's no overthinking it. It's just so beautiful to watch them exist. There really is this kind of imagery, the poetic imagery of being free as a bird. You know what I mean? In fact, the greatest rock song ever made was written about it. I don't know if Freebird is the greatest rock song ever. It's a good one. So maybe, you know, we're anthropomorphizing them a little bit to look at them, but I really don't think we are, man. They're our cousins. Distant though they may be. Who is that, man? That's a loud boy. But anyway, sorry. Tangent. Did you ever get a pet snake? Where's Basil? Where's my snake? Oh, well, that's a really sad story, son. You see, after you went away, Basil, he came down with an illness and he passed away. Hey, Dad. Who's that kind of smiley fella sitting next to Mum? Munchy wunchin' on lumpticks of toast. Oh, well, that's Joe. I fucking... Dude, that movie's just so good, man. Oh. So quotable. And just so memorable and such a fucking, like, it's one of those performances. It's like a There Will Be Blood level performance. It's like Malcolm McDowell just happened to land in Stanley Kubrick's sphere somehow, and the perfect combination of minds happened. Yeah. The wickedly brilliant, twisted mind of Stanley Kubrick and the actor that was willing to just go all the way with it. And it looked perfect. And, you know, because if you really think about some of the things that Alex was asked to do, or Malcolm McDowell was asked to do in some of those shots that are so brilliant and striking, is like, think about him just sitting around the Korova milk bar like this. Yeah. I can't even make the face, but you know, like the, like, like because he holds that through this huge tracking shot, you know. Yeah. And there's often times where he just commits to this, like, I can't even do it. It's like this look that Malcolm and McDowell is able to do that combines like this joie de vivre and kind of carefree, jokey nature with murderous intent. I can't make that face. I don't have that in me. Dude, here's hot take. Malcolm McDowell would have made an amazing Joker. Like for the 80s. Like, you know, I'm not saying Jack Nicholson is still my favorite Joker, but I'm saying like another, you know, definitely would have made a great Joker because of that ability to. He's obviously able to tap into something where, yeah, jovial sadism, exactly. That look on his face at the end of the movie where he's just delirious with lust, but it's not really necessarily just sex. It's like violence and barbarism. Oh, yes, I was cured, all right. That look he's got on his face where he's just lost in it. I can't do it. No, I can't. I think you got to have a little bit of that.
And just being literally tortured in the scenes where his eyes are pulled open. Like, there's no way to make that not uncomfortable. He's basically doing the same thing without the actual, like, puking medicine.
He suffered the tortures of the damned. Tortured of the damned. A victim of the modern age. Poor boy. That dude was willing to go all the way with it, too. That actor. You remember he was in that... He was in another Kubrick movie.
Oh, yeah.
No, not Kubrick. It was kind of a schlock horror movie, but it was like Coppola. It was Francis Ford Coppola's first movie, that weird murder mystery. Thing. I can't remember the name of it, but remember he's in that. And he's just a weird guy. He was able to find that kind of genuine weirdo, and he went all the way with that performance. I love that, like, where because most movies would just have that realization go down and show him get mad. Yeah. He has like a seizure. Yeah. Remember, he's like...
The eyebrows.
Just like eyes all the way open. Yeah, it was great. I love it. I love that film, man. Kubrick movies are singular to me, almost, with some exceptions. P.T. Anderson movies, on the whole, maybe not every one of them, but most of Paul Thomas Anderson's oeuvre, I like. I can watch infinite times. I don't get sick of it. I don't get tired of it. I almost always see something or think some different angle on something that I've never thought before, so it's always worth a rewatch.
Except Eyes Wide Shut. Fuck that movie.
There are exceptions to every rule. I'm not a big fan of Eyes Wide Shut. I have heard some passionate defenses of it and some pretty interesting, like, philosophical underpinnings. It's not a movie that's devoid of that. It's just, I just have to say it. I don't like Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman in that movie together. I don't think they have anywhere near the right kind of chemistry together. It feels off in a way that's not like, oh, it's supposed to, because obviously their relationship is not great in the film, but
You can't even imagine them having something before.
right, that's the problem, is that they feel so dysfunctional in the film. Maybe that was the point, but it just it makes them. One of the things about Kubrick's films that I find is pretty much a straight line through them is that he has this way of making a character, no matter how flawed that character is and how ultimately reprehensible maybe that character is, the hero of the story. And I feel like Eyes Wide Shut fails in that.
It also isn't sexy at all. As many
No.
titties are out, they're joyless titties.
Yeah, it's clinical titties. Almost. You're absolutely right. It's probably got more titty in it than most movies, but like when it turns out, like, it's just not, it's not sexual titty. Even though it's presented as kind of trying to be,
Yeah.
it's shot clinically.
Yeah.
I just don't like the movie, man. But every other one of Kubrick's films, and I'm talking about all of them, going all the way back to The Killing, I'm all over them, man. I've never seen one that disappoints me. I really want to watch Paths of Glory with you. I really think you're going to like that movie. And that's the movie that got him the job on Spartacus.
Yeah.
Dude, that was a weird time thing. Well, I guess it's kind of similar now. Kirk Douglas was such a huge star that he was kind of in control of the production more than anybody of a movie. Wow, kind of weird.
Yeah.
You think that's
well? That's how the
goes on?
second Hellraiser was.
Yeah,
He
but I'm talking about big. Like
yeah,
Spartacus
big,
was the hugest movie ever made.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
like
yeah,
up
like
to that
Marlon
point.
Brando had that same kind of power, I think.
He exercised it differently though.
Yeah.
By just breaking the rules and refusing to go along with them.
Yeah.
But you know, Kirk Douglas was able to just go like, we're gonna make Spartacus. I'm gonna be Spartacus. Stanley Kubrick is gonna be my director. Here's how here's the script. He was involved in the script. He was, you know, it's just very strange that like a project that big, especially that big, because it was record breaking in terms of how much money they threw at it.
But not directing it himself, because I almost said, what's his name? But he directs his own movies too.
Who? Clint.
Yeah, Clint Eastwood. Yeah. He that fucking Hang 'Em High, dude. I was so impressed by that.
There are so many great movies. I'm so glad that you are able to, because like a lot of people are just turned off by westerns. They just I can't get into them. They're not my favorite genre, but there are so many brilliant fucking movies, and that's one of them that, yeah, dude, it blew me away too. I was beyond impressed with that movie. It was great. Shot wonderfully, and like the story was good, and the central performance was amazing. And
the themes are incredibly complex but digestible.
Yep. You know, it's kind of a critique of the Old West while not being preachy about it.
Yeah.
And just a fucking movie you wouldn't expect, you know. You get my spouse to watch Tombstone. Yeah. I mean, you'd never seen Tombstone before we watched it together. I think the first Western we watched together that you hadn't seen was we watched Good, Bad, and the Ugly.
Yeah.
Which, you know.
Not mine. I liked Hang 'Em High way more than Good, Bad, and the Ugly.
I mean, I don't blame you. Yeah. Good, Bad, and the Ugly is an acquired taste for sure. I love Sergio Leone Westerns, though. They're just so... I love the performances. Like Tuco. If Tuco wasn't in it, I probably wouldn't care as much about that movie. But I love that rapscallion of a character. But you might actually like. We'll watch some of the other Man with No Name movies because I actually like my favorite Sergio Leone movie is For a Few Dollars More. There's Fistful of Dollars, and then it's not really a sequel, but it's For a Few Dollars More. Am I correct? I'll have to look. It's either Fistful of Dollars or For a Few Dollars. I think it's For a Few Dollars More. It's the one with the music box. There's a music box that's used as a central storytelling piece. Maybe somebody in the chat will correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's For a Few Dollars More. And that's got a great villain. Clint is amazing in it. There's some real tense shootout scenes, and that let's get the close shot of the eyes, and a lot of the actor's performance and fear shows up a little bit, and anger. Yeah, I love that shit, man. I love movies so much.
Yeah, and like with Clint too, it's like he started older.
Yeah,
like not super old, but like not a young man.
Yeah, not like a fresh 19, 20-year-old.
Yeah.
He's in his late 20s, right?
I think so, yeah. And he's got that hardened look. He's already got the wrinkles. And
yeah. Weathered. Quigley Down Under. Yeah, okay. Tom Selleck as a American dude that goes to Australia in the Old West days. Not my favorite Western.
Yeah, I think the only movie we've really been diametrically opposed to was Gangs of New York. I just couldn't get into that one for some reason.
I don't blame you. It's such an overwrought, I don't know what it was. Maybe you should, what was it about the movie that
I think it was just the tone was over the top, I think, for me.
It's like, you go into it kind of expecting a historical movie, and it is, but it's more of a fantasy film. It's more of a reimagining of the 5 Points as this, strange steampunk, idealized in almost a certain way, kind of fantasy town hovel instead of what it was, which was just piss and shit in the streets. And
I think it reminded me of the Demon Barber of Fleet Street, in a way.
That movie, it definitely has a Tim Burton-esque drape over it. It's weird because it's a Spielberg movie. Or is it? Wait a minute. It's a Spielberg movie. Right. Yes. I have to double check myself sometimes because I get mixed up. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. But it definitely has that. For me, it's the two central performances there. I think Leo gives, especially later in the movie. The movie takes a while to get going. But later in the movie, Leo gives a great performance, and Daniel Day is just, he just gets cooler and cooler as the movie goes. It's very quotable. It's got some great scenes. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing about movies, man. If you don't vibe, you don't vibe. I can't be salty about it any more than, you could be salty about me not liking a movie that you like. It's going to happen sometimes. I think we're lucky, though. We tend...
Yeah. I mean, I maybe I'll give it another go because I never, properly finished it, but...
I think if you did, because I remember we didn't get all that far into it before we paused it, and then it just kind of disappeared, and then you kind of just basically told me, I wasn't really feeling it. I think if you did, you'd probably find more to like about it, but it's not something I really care all that much about. You're allowed to have your opinions, dude. I've ejected out of a number of movies that I wouldn't want to go back and watch. So.
Yeah. I know that, with Jersey Boys, Clint Eastwood's story, I like it probably way more than you do.
I thought it was, I liked it way more than I thought I was going to like it.
Yeah. You were, kind of turned off by the musical aspect at first.
Because I just don't like seeing a show that started as a musical put on, because I always feel like it's truncated.
Yeah, but they had the actual actors from the musical.
Which I think made it better. Yeah. No, I never would have watched that movie, so. You've shown me a number of flicks.
Yeah, I know that The Devil's Double wasn't the best movie, but it's still
that movie kicked fucking ass.
Yeah.
If you guys have never seen that movie, The Devil's Double, It's about a dude that was a body double for Uday Hussein.
Yeah.
You know, before the invasion of Iraq or whatever, and during it. And it is a crazy good movie where one dude plays. I always love a movie where a dude can play a dual role, or a lady can play a dual role and pull it off. And it's one of those movies where the precept is already there. They're supposed to look alike.
Yeah.
They make them look just different enough by, you know. But it's a great film. I really had a lot of fun with that movie.
Yeah. It's really dark, but it's that kind of.
It's a dark comedy.
Yeah,
it's a pitch
kind
black
of
comedy.
similar to Clockwork Orange in that you can relate to someone that's really sadistic.
Yeah. Recently watched the new Ghostbusters and it was fun. Not amazing, but better than I was expecting. Hey, that's cool. I haven't checked it out yet. I'm still boycotting. Here's a fun fact. Clint Eastwood's debut was at 13 years old as an extra in Creature from the Black Lagoon. That's kind of cool. It's one of the kids in that. My favorite example of the dual role is Jack Nicholson in Mars Attacks. Oh, yeah. There's a number of them that end up working out really well. One of my favorites is Multiplicity. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie with, oh God, what's his fucking name? He was the 80s Batman, Michael Keaton. Multiplicity is like a comedy movie, comedy drama, I would say. Has a very goofy premise, but it's actually a really funny movie. It's probably a little bit like cancelable now because I'll give you the premise. A dude who works for a science company comes up with a way to clone himself. And he realizes the benefit of having a clone is that he can be two people at once. But the problem is that every clone that he makes is somehow a little different from him. And well, maybe not even a little different. Like, it'll be him, but like gay. The first clone he makes is gay. It's not played in an uncharitable way, but you know. And then the second clone he makes is this hyper aggressive bro dude. Who's like, you know, and then one of them ends up being a little bit botched and he's kind of retarded. And that's the one that I think more than any of the other characters would probably get it canceled today, because there's a very like played for laughs retarded dude in it, which is a little insensitive maybe, but it's, I don't know, I don't think it ruins the film, but it doesn't age it well. But I really liked that movie because he plays like 6 dudes. You know what I mean?
And then Dead Ringers, you gotta.
Oh yeah, man! Thanks for reminding me of that. Yeah, that's one of the all-time great dual roles. Jeremy Irons. I mean, oh, come on, bro. Oh, that movie gave me chills. We need to watch that movie again one of these nights.
We just stumbled on it, like you'd never heard of it, and we just like, oh, that cover.
I don't know
looks
how I had blind spotted that too, because it's a Cronenberg movie, and I'm a fan of his stuff. Maybe I just avoided it. There was something off-putting about it, maybe. But man, that movie was brilliant. Yeah, you know, say what you want about it, but the whole Austin Powers movies were kind of fun for that reason. With Mike Myers playing all the different roles and stuff. I mean, maybe that hadn't aged very well. That type of humor definitely is not around all that much anymore. But there was definitely some memes that came out of it for sure. That was kind of fun. I think he was really in his element there. Mike Myers is best when he's playing a roster of goofy characters. You know where Mike Myers was horribly miscast, and like one of probably the worst thing about a great movie, Django.
Oh yeah.
Remember when he shows up as that weird British caricature cartoon character?
I haven't watched it in a while, but yeah, there was definitely some anachronistic.
Well, it was just like, it was like a speed bump in an otherwise like perfectly paced movie. That's another place where we diverge. You do not like Hateful Eight.
Yeah.
You're not a big fan of it.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't hate it, but it definitely didn't stick with me the way it did with you. I liked it more when That one where it kind of got serialized.
Oh, yeah.
I gained more appreciation of it with that.
That's how he wanted to release it.
Yeah, so I think
So-
that if I had seen that one first, I would,
I forgot we watched it again
Yeah.
in that serialized thing. I didn't didn't remember if you finished it the whole way, but yeah, that really was a good way to watch it, broken up like that, as intended, because that is a really long movie and it can feel very samey because it's a chamber film, and so it really does need that little break for you to catch your breath between the episodes or whatever.
so yeah, I think that it definitely should have started that way because it makes it way more accessible. I think.
Yeah. But Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was brilliant. That's another movie I really want to watch again. I've only seen it that one time, and I think it would be fresh enough to watch again.
Yeah. And then what was that one movie with the vampires where I almost ejected, like right before the twist?
Which one?
With the Quentin Tarantino acting in it as that pedo.
Oh yeah. The fucking, what is that called? Now I'm brain farting the name. From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah. You like
with Clooney.
I almost ejected like right when it got good. You're like, no.
I was like, wait, give it 5 minutes and then eject. If you get to the twist and you hate this movie still, because yeah, that movie is pretty reprehensible leading up to the twist, but the twist is so crazy that it's worth the price of admission. Dude, my mom took me to that movie.
Yeah.
When I was like, I don't know when it came out. I was probably like 16 or something, and she thought it was just going to be like a rootin' tootin' gun movie or whatever. It ended up being this crazy, scary movie. Yeah, Dusk Till Dawn is pretty great, but like I will admit that like I don't know, man, it's a little tough to watch at the beginning.
Quentin Tarantino's extra Dexter creepy.
Which, you know, I mean, it leans into the premise once the twist happens, especially. But I mean, yeah, Quentin Tarantino's character is very effectively creepy, showing off that he is, in addition to being a great director, he can act his ass off when he needs to. He's done some cameos in his own movies that are just brilliant. So the guy's just really got an eye for movies, a real love for movies, and that always comes out in his performances. And
yeah, it's definitely like not an even remotely redeemable character.
It's effective at making him, the only person that could ever care about him is his brother. Yeah. And that's only because he's his brother. Yeah. The guy even says it. He says, if he wasn't my brother, I would have put 2 in his head, 20 years ago. But because he's my brother, he can do what he wants. He can't do what he wants, but I will put up with whatever he puts out there, because that's what families do. And that was an understandable, line, but really they went over the top, making him like fucking just like a total nightmare of a character. But it makes sense. They're outlaws, and But yeah, that's a fun movie. Eventually. Thanks, Craig, for the $10 Canadian.
I'm pretty sure Canadian money's still worth less, but I'm not sure.
It is, but who cares?
No, I was just like, I remember when the balance was opposite. You remember?
Oh yeah,
right.
It was flipped for a while. No, it's not. Canadian money is funny money again.
Yeah. That's so we think of any currency that's worth less than USD is funny money.
It's funny money, man. If you ain't got a euro, I don't even want to hear you talk, man.
But no, we do appreciate it, bro.
No, we're just joking, right? It's like $8 to our 10. Yeah, I know. Something like that. Who cares? I'm just joking.
Yeah, I just remember when my dad lived in Canada, everything was like way more expensive.
Yeah.
You look so regal.